The sun burned low over the Chalbai desert, casting long golden shadows across the sand. Amina wrapped her indigo shawl tighter around her face as she guided her family's camels toward a dry riverbed. The beasts snorted and grunted, kicking up dust with their padded feet. Herding them was a task passed down through generations, but Amina's heart longed for more than tradition. Her hands gripped a worn copy of her school textbook, tucked securely in her satchel. With each step, she recited algebraic formulas in her mind, determined not to forget what she had learned during her last visit to the schoolhouse miles away. When the camels finally settled to graze on the sparse shrubs, Amina found her usual rock beneath the acacia tree. The sun dipped below the dunes as she opened the notebook she shared with her younger brother, tracing equations by the dimming light. Her dream was clear: to become a doctor, the first from her village, and bring healing where there was none. But such dreams were fragile here. Education wasn't guaranteed, especially for girls. Still she studied. By the stars if needed. She would fight to shape her destiny one formula at a time. Amina's father returned from the town council meeting with worry on his face. Rumors of drought were spreading again, and water sources were growing scarce. Amina listened quietly as the men talked late into the night, her fingers gripping her pencil, her equations forgotten. Water scarcity meant fewer camels, fewer customers, and less income. It also meant no transport to the school in Marsabit. No transport meant no exams, no grades. No scholarship. Her mother tried to reassure her, brushing her braids while humming softly. "God sees the work of your hands," she whispered. "You will shine in your own time." Amina smiled faintly, but fear tugged at her. The desert was relentless. Dreams often dried up like cracked riverbeds. She looked again at her algebra problems, but the numbers blurred. She needed a miracle, or at least an opportunity. Dust kicked up in spirals as a motorbike pulled into the village. Children scattered, laughing. Elders looked up from their woven mats. Amina paused by the well, staring as a tall man in a faded blue shirt dismounted, a sleek camera bag slung over his shoulder. His name was Luca, and he spoke with a Swahili lilt not native to the north. He was a photojournalist, he said, traveling across Kenya to document rural life. Amina didn't care for cameras. What good were photos when her people needed clinics? But when Luca asked to photograph her with her camels, she reluctantly agreed. "You have the eyes of someone with a story," he said, peering through the lens. The attention felt strange, yet thrilling. In that moment, Amina felt seen, not as a herder, not as a burden, but as a young woman with potential. Luca followed Amina for days, capturing her life, tending camels, teaching her siblings, solving math under moonlight. He asked questions, always listening closely. He was fascinated by her ambition, how she bridged tradition and education. Amina started to look forward to his visits, not for the photos but for the validation. His presence made her feel important. One evening, Luca showed her a photo on his laptop. It was of her standing beside her camel, eyes focused ahead, the desert wind catching her scarf like a flag. "This could be in a magazine," he said. "People need to see you." Amina was stunned. She'd never imagined her face in a publication. Could attention like this lead to something more? Funding, scholarship, a platform? While Luca packed to leave, another visitor arrived. Nico, a university student from Nairobi, had come to help with a mobile clinic project. He was tall, talkative, and wore city sneakers that sank in the sand. He struggled with camel milk and the desert heat, but his laugh was infectious. Amina met him while fetching herbs for her mother's fever remedy. They talked about school goals and Nairobi's bright lights. Nico was impressed by her intellect. He offered to share his old biology notes and even suggested helping her apply to a science camp in Kisumu. Amina found herself laughing more, her heart fluttering at his presence. Unlike Luca's quiet admiration, Nico's attention felt warm and personal. Was this love or just a new kind of dream? Amina invited Nico to see the grazing lands. They talked under the baobab tree as dusk spread across the horizon. Nico spoke of Nairobi's fast pace and the endless lights. He said she would thrive there, that her mind was too bright for the bush. The words stung slightly, but Amina nodded. The city did call to her, but so did her village. Her dreams weren't just for her, they were for her family, her people. When he held her hand for the first time, she didn't pull away. His touch was gentle, and she felt a new kind of possibility, one not rooted in books but in connection. But when she returned home, her mother watched her closely. "Don't forget where you come from," she said softly, brushing dust from Amina's shoulders. One afternoon, Luca returned with news. One of his photos of Amina had been selected for a photo essay in a major international magazine. They want to feature you. A girl of the desert. A future doctor. The words thrilled Amina and terrified her. Fame could bring attention, maybe even support. But it could also bring eyes she wasn't ready for. Meanwhile, Nico confessed something else. His internship in Nairobi had ended, and he was returning soon. Come visit. I'll show you the university. The city. He grinned. Stay if you want. His voice was teasing, but his eyes were serious. Two paths were forming, one of love, another of legacy. And both were calling her name. A sandstorm swept through the village, forcing everyone indoors. Amina sat curled near the fire, her heart a tangle of equations, magazine offers, and Nico's smile. Her father was worried about Luca's photos. The world does not always honor us. Sometimes it exploits us. Her mother was silent, watching Amina battle dreams that stretched beyond the horizon. That night, Amina wrote in her notebook, "What is freedom? To choose your path, or to make one no one else dares." She knew she couldn't choose fame for vanity or love for comfort. She needed to find the version of herself that could carry both her past and her future forward. Amina visited Nico's clinic tent, watching him stitch a young boy's wound with care. She admired his dedication. "I want to heal people too," she whispered. Nico squeezed her hand. "Then let nothing stop you." Yet, when Luca showed her the magazine draft, Amina flinched. The captions made her sound like a novelty. A girl genius from the wilderness. Amina was more than that. She requested to write her own caption. "My name is Amina. I'm not a miracle. I am the result of faith, fire, and formulas." Luca nodded. "That's the headline," he said. She realized she didn't have to be the subject of someone else's story, she could author her own. Weeks later, a letter arrived from the Ministry of Education. Amina had won a full scholarship to a pre-med program in Eldoret, thanks to her scores and a glowing recommendation, written, surprisingly, by Luca. Her parents wept, joyful and afraid. "Go," her mother said, "but never forget the road that raised you." Nico helped her pack. "You'll be brilliant," he said. "But don't disappear." Amina hugged him, unsure if goodbye meant forever. Her heart felt heavy, but her spirit soared. Destiny wasn't a clear path, it was a choice. Eldoret was unlike anything Amina had known. Paved streets, tall buildings, libraries with working lights. Her classmates were sharp, competitive. Some laughed at her accent, others praised her raw intelligence. She missed the desert air, the soft grunts of camels. She missed Nico. But she kept her head down and studied, often late into the night. Her professor noticed her dedication and invited her to assist in the biology lab. It was an honor, one that brought her closer to her dream. And yet, each step forward reminded her of the dusty roads she once walked, notebook in hand, solving algebra by firelight. Amina's photo resurfaced on social media, sparking renewed interest in her story. Journalists reached out. Some wanted inspiration, others controversy. She turned most down. She wasn't an icon, just a girl working hard. One interviewer asked if she was still in touch with the boy or the photographer. She paused. "I'm in touch with my purpose," she answered. That night she called home. Her mother's voice cracked with pride. "The neighbors saw you in the paper. But I tell them even before the camera came, you were already chosen." Amina cried softly, then returned to her chemistry homework. Months later, a letter arrived. It was from Nico. He'd enrolled in medical school too, because of her. "You lit a fire in me," he wrote. "Not just for you but for something bigger." He ended the letter with a simple line, "If our roads cross again, I hope we walk them together." Amina smiled. Her story wasn't just hers anymore. It had seeded others. In a world of shifting dunes, she had become a landmark. Not for the fame, not for the love, but for choosing truth again and again. After 2 years, Amina returned home for a brief holiday. Children ran to greet her. The same acacia tree stood tall. Her camels, though fewer, still recognized her voice. She visited the village school, donating books and solar lanterns. Her father stood quietly beside her. "You are both my daughter and my teacher," he said. Luca had sent her a copy of the printed magazine, framed and signed. She gave it to the school. "Let this remind others," she said, "that no dream is too distant." Her village, once her world, had become her foundation. Years later, a new clinic opened in the heart of northern Kenya. Its sign read, Dr. Amina Ibrahim Medical Center. Children in uniforms lined the path, clapping. Among the guests were Nico, now her husband, and Luca, older and still curious. Amina stood before the building wearing a white coat stitched with her name. I come from a place where girls are often overlooked, she said in her speech. But I was seen. Not just by cameras or boys, but by those who believed that healing begins with hope. The crowd erupted in cheers. Amina smiled. The desert wind lifted her scarf again, just like it did in that first photo, but now she didn't just walk with camels. She walked with destiny.